Cincinnati, the chilly capital of America and the home of the first ever professional baseball team. It's a place that makes Queen City locals proud.
What makes Cincinnati special to me is it fits my values. I'm very Midwestern at heart. Blue collar, go to work, don't complain, that kind of stuff. That's just my makeup. And to me, that's what I think is what makes Cincinnati unique.
Cincinnati is a small community where people know our local restaurants. They know the local football teams. They know who the players are. They know oftentimes where they live, or you'll see celebrities or the athletes in our local restaurants, and people leave them alone.
In January 2023, Cincinnatians were captivated with one NFL player after his brush with death. And it wasn't a bad thing.
The impact that left on me is that humanity matters more than sports.
Welcome to BYU Radio's Big Stories, a show dedicated to the incredible tales surrounding the opponents of the BYU Cougars. I'm your host, Cleon Wall. In this episode, we dive into a pair of pigskin parables.
Football always came first.
Former University of Cincinnati running back Isaiah Pead was a college football gridiron great.
It's always been my piece. I like to say it saved my life at times.
But Pead's piece on the football field was violently taken away.
I look at it as, it's God's plan. It's another experience in my life that I was called upon.
The former Bearcats comeback comes up later in this episode. But first, how one football foe brought the city of Cincinnati and the nation together.
What makes sports attractive to me for a career is I love the emotion.
This is Joe Danneman.
I am the sports director at WXIX. I've been here working since 2001. It was my first job out of college, but I am from Cincinnati. This is where I grew up. This is where I was raised. We all like that escape to go to a sporting event. But for me, what I love most about it is the emotion that comes with it. And the emotion that comes with a game and a sporting event and just sports in general are all the stories that lead to whatever moment that person is coming into. To share their story and see it play out on a field, I think that's magical to me, and that's why it's never gotten old for me to be around it, whether it's a high school level, the college level, the professional level. Here in Cincinnati, that all matters from every level, youth sports all the way to professional sports. So I think it's a great town to do sports in because people care about it from every level, from pro all the way down to Little League.
The citizens of Cincinnati cared about their NFL franchise on the night of January 2nd, 2023. The Bengals were hosting the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football.
Two teams that everybody thought would be on the short list that year to win the Super Bowl, meeting on Monday Night Football right before the playoffs. It felt as big as any game could feel in Cincinnati. I never send my wife a text about the atmosphere. That night on the sideline, in the 5 to 10 minutes leading up to the game, the hair was standing up on my arms. I had goosebumps, and I actually sent her a text and said, I've never felt Cincinnati like this before. Cincinnati has never been more ready for a sporting event than they are tonight for Monday Night Football.
So I was on the couch, like most of Cincinnati, that night watching the game.
This is University of Cincinnati Medical Center trauma surgeon Tim Pritts.
I think that pretty much everybody in Cincinnati was either at the game or watching it.
I was on a flight home from London. I was on vacation with my family.
Pritts' colleague and emergency medicine physician, William Knight.
I was supposed to work that game on the sideline as one of the concussion doctors, but had traded out of it for vacation. And so I was on the flight to come home and watched it unfold like everybody else did on Monday Night Football.
Cincinnati was ahead 7-3 in the first quarter when quarterback Joe Burrow completed a pass to T. Higgins. As Higgins weaved his way across the field, Bills safety Damar Hamlin slammed into him.
I was on the Bengals sideline. I pressed stop on my camera, thinking it was just another normal play and that we were going to live to play another play after that. And then everything changed in the aftermath of that play.
Hamlin stood up and then collapsed backwards. Medical crews rushed to his side.
It was a full sprint with heavy bags of medical equipment immediately to Damar Hamlin. I've never seen that kind of urgency before from medical folks on a football field, and it led to this silence inside the stadium, this confused silence from the fans who had this buildup, and there was so much excitement and so much emotion. So my vantage point was I wanted to make sure I had eyes on what was happening on the field with Damar. And I could see from my vantage point that they were starting chest compressions and working on him. We've seen in the past a lot of times in the NFL, when a guy goes down with a serious injury, teams will circle around him just to make sure he's okay, to show support, that kind of thing. And that happened at first, but what I kept noticing from the players from both teams is they would circle around him, get close, and then the moment was just too much for them. They had to turn away and walk away, having to go down on a knee and start to pray or just walk away and be consoled by a teammate.
Hamlin was eventually loaded into an ambulance, but it didn't immediately leave for UC Medical Center.
We come to find out after the fact they are doing a procedure on him that they wanted to be stabilized, not moving inside the ambulance to get everything they needed to get done before they went to the hospital in a stable environment while not driving. I was able to find out answers about the way they treated him on the field, what his current condition was, that he had a heartbeat, that he wasn't breathing on his own. So there the ambulance was, and the Bills started walking off the field. And I'll never forget this, is seeing the looks on their faces as they could still see the ambulance right there outside of their locker room. As they're walking back, seeing their teammate, understanding what he's going through inside that ambulance as they're walking off the field. And people are asking, are they going to keep playing this game? And I could have told you right then and there, there's no chance. So the NFL made the right decision in postponing that game. When I got home that night, I laid in bed. It was past 2, past 3 in the morning. And I remember saying to myself, people always say in this situation, sending thoughts and prayers. I said, how many people actually pray in that moment? I'm a man of faith. I'm a God-fearing man. I pray for Damar. And in that moment, you never know how you're going to react. And you never know how much of an impact your prayer will have. But I prayed for Damar. I prayed for the people who were taking care of him. I prayed for the people who had to witness up close what Damar was going through on the field and the way he was being treated on the field. I prayed a lot. I really did. I don't think I slept that night.
I got the call from one of my partners here who they had a critically ill patient who was coming in.
Here again are UC medical doctors Tim Pritts and William Knight.
I'm one of the senior trauma surgeons and was involved as a backup surgeon to the faculty member who was in house that night.
Tim and I have had the experience with what we would designate as a high-profile patient of knowing what that response is to the system and to the hospital. And I knew he was going to be here and texted him from the flight and basically coordinated me coming in as well so that we could meet with the family, meet with the team representatives, help our hospital and our system prepare for the onslaught that came with it to allow the care teams to do their job.
We represent a very, very large care team. If you look at the people who had hands-on care of him while I was here, it exceeds 150. And it really takes a village to bring each critically ill patient and help them give their best shot of getting back to life.
That village would expand in the days after Damar's critical injury. Coming up next, how Hamlin galvanized the Queen City.
I think the 24 to 48 hours after this happened is where Cincinnati showed its best.
I'm Cleon Wall, and this is BYU Radio's Big Stories.
Yeah, this is uncharted territory.
This is David Fulcher, a former Cincinnati Bengals safety. He was at Paycor Stadium the night Buffalo Bills safety Damar Hamlin went into cardiac arrest during a Monday Night Football game.
Joe, I've talked about this for a very long time, and I'm trying to keep the tears from coming out of my eyes, but this hurts, man.
Even the day after, just listening to former players who saw moments like this, it takes you back into that moment and understanding just how much this affected everybody, not just who was on the field, but anybody who saw it.
WXIX sports director Joe Danneman was one of the Cincinnatians who witnessed Hamlin lying on the field after hitting Bengal wide receiver T. Higgins.
So when Damar was injured, that was on a Monday night, and the next few days it was local TV, nonstop, trying to find every angle, every piece of information we could to push this story forward. Understanding we are in a very unique time in our careers, where I said to myself, I understood that night, this might be the most important story of my career.
Cincinnati residents also realized how important Damar's story was to them because it happened in their city and they wanted to be there for him. They came through with flying colors, even if those colors were not the black and orange of the Bengals.
We lit up our city in the colors of Buffalo, blue and red all over Cincinnati. The tops of buildings were in colors of Bills. People were outside of the hospital with signs for Damar Hamlin, the smallest things people could do to show support for Damar Hamlin. I think Cincinnati showed it best.
Yeah, the outpouring was really amazing.
This again is Dr. Tim Pritts with UC Medical Center.
There were, balloon sculptures. There were hundreds of flower bouquets that came to the hospital over that period of time. We had to set aside an area of the hospital, and then Damar's mom would go downstairs every day and would pick out different flower arrangements and have them distributed through the hospital, which is a really cool thing. We had one of the local restaurateurs showed up with a truck full of steak and lobsters and not only fed his family and the Buffalo Bills team members who were here, but fed everybody in our ICU waiting room and all the nurses in the ICU and all the on-call teams. And they did that several nights in a row. It was just really amazing to feel all that support.
Dr. Pritts' colleague, Dr. William Knight.
Obviously, it was dark when I came in. It was dark when I left. And the number of people and media trucks outside, either doing live reporting or just fans or concerned people setting up a celebration or a homage to him, that's what stood out to me as I passed that every day in and out of the hospital.
Just put it on. You kind of got to make sure.
And then there were the shirts.
So this was the Damar Hamlin shirt.
Sarah Robin works at Cincy Shirts.
Number 3 was Damar Hamlin's number. So what it is the 5 and 1 are the Bengals colors, and the 3 is his. And then it says stands with Buffalo. So just 513 stands with Buffalo means like Cincy, we're here for you guys, like we're supporting you.
The net sales of the shirts were donated to Hamlin's Chasing M's Foundation, and people were lining up to buy them 2 days after Hamlin collapsed.
Mainly people got t-shirts, but then we had some people who came in and got like hoodies. They're like, if the proceeds go to this, I'm gonna get what I can, like some of the most expensive stuff I can. I had a couple people who got all 3 in the same design. So crew neck got the 513, the hoodie 513, and the t-shirt 513. He was like, I need to be able to wear it at all seasons. We had people after it happened be like, I saw you guys had this shirt. They came in from Buffalo. Like, I saw you had this shirt. We specifically came down to Cincinnati to get this shirt and everything. So again, it was just mind-blowing seeing all the support that he had and everything. Like, I'm just so proud of everything we've done for him and the community and Buffalo.
3 days after Hamlin's violent collision, he woke up.
It was in the middle of the night. He woke up and he in some way, shape, or form asked, "Did we win?"
He scrawled it out on a piece of paper. It shows you right where he was, and and it shows you that for him it was, the world waited for a few days. For him, it was just a couple heartbeats from the time that he was unconscious till the time that he woke back up, which is really pretty amazing.
Our message at the time has become, and this came from one of our partners, was, yeah, dude, you won. You won the game of life.
I finally had a day off, and I found myself stuck in presidential traffic in downtown Cincinnati. And anytime you're stuck in traffic, of course, you get annoyed, you get frayed, and then I have the radio on, and I hear a report come on the radio that Damar had woken up, had asked if they won, and it seemed as if Damar was going to make a full recovery. And I cheered like my alma mater had just won a national championship, or my favorite team had just won a championship.
To us, this really wasn't a miracle. It is, and in fact, obviously, he did amazing with a catastrophic injury. However, from on the field until he left the hospital, we had the right people in the right place at the right time with the right training.
Then Damar discovered how much love people were sending his way.
Cards for him were coming from all over the country. I mean, by the boxes.
Yeah.
By the box full. and really just part of support for him. And really, I think he started to realize what an impact he was having on people, and that his story was a substantially positive one, and that the positive impact that he could have down the road on this.
After 9 days of hospitalization, Hamlin headed home. But his experience in the city of Cincinnati had a lasting effect on him.
Damar Hamlin came back to Cincinnati earlier this summer. He's on a national AED education tour.
His foundation is donating AEDs to at-risk or needy organizations, football teams, schools, et cetera, that might, to again, prevent young athletes from dying on a field.
But he got up there in front of a microphone in front of the entire crowd. This was at UC on campus. And he said that Cincinnati is one of his homes now. And to me, that was a cool moment. As someone who loves Cincinnati, someone who's from here, who works here, who imagines I will spend my entire life in this city, for someone to feel attached to a place the way he does now, from a moment that no one could predict, the impact that left on me is that humanity matters more than sports. And I think that's what we saw that night, not just from the way the crowd reacted, the way the teams reacted, the way the people covering the event reacted, the way the first responders reacted. That night was about humanity and the human spirit.
Coming up next, Isaiah Pead refuses to be impeded by a missing limb. Welcome back to BYU Radio's Big Stories.
The University of Cincinnati, man, it means a lot to me.
Isaiah Pead loves his Bearcats.
It's a good school. The football that is played, the competition that is played, we get the underdog kind of label, and that's what I love about it. It's very, built from the ground up type of place.
Pead is like his alma mater, an underdog, a fighter, someone who claws his way to the top. For Isaiah, it all started out in Columbus, Ohio.
My mom was a teenage mom. She had, they were same age, but had me at 16. And then my dad ended up going to a different school and kind of, lost contact. My mom has me on her own. And by the time she was 20 years old, she had my sister. I learned a lot of things, kind of grew up fast, getting myself to and from school at the bus stop, making my own snacks. I had a key to the house at, coming off the bus at kindergarten and first grade and going in there, putting whatever in the microwave, just things like that. Eventually that turned to, by the time I'm in middle school, I'm making stuff on the stove, something slight, maybe hamburger helper, things like that. It turned me into a young adult.
Isaiah was mature for his age when he finally met his dad.
Talking and through dinner, and he was trying to explain, 12, 13 years. And after about 20 minutes, I kind of I say, we're here now. The past is the past. Let's just move forward. And that's where it kicked off. Our relationship kicked off there, and that's just where it's been.
As Isaiah was driving down the road and reflecting back on his childhood, he stated that football is what saved his life.
I was living on here in Columbus, Ohio, Cleveland Avenue and East 20th Avenue. There's a park right there, man. It's still there, and that's where I went and started playing football. And kids would come home from football practice, and they still have on their football uniforms. And I'm like, wow, they must be official football players and guys that get to playing. And I would try to just, I would score my touchdowns and do good. I didn't even know if it was good. I just know they couldn't tackle me. You know what I mean? So, and I just wanted to keep doing that. And finally, when I was about 8 years old, my mom just said, okay, I'll take you to practice. And she didn't know what she was doing. She was just tired of me, bugging her and begging her. And, she would take me to practice. She would take me to the games, take me to the practice, take me to games. And soon, people were saying, hey, your son is he's kind of good. And she'd say, oh, thank you. She's watching. But as life goes on and you get more and more and more people say, hey, your son is good. I mean, when you have something that you want to do and you eat, sleep, and breathe it every day, and then you reap just the benefits that come with, chasing that, that's that experience alone, that being able to experience that every day for X amount of years of my life. That's something that, I'm thankful for, being able to experience. I slept with a football. I slept with a football till I was 25 years old. Football is a key to my heart, absolutely. And it's, you know what I mean. It saved my life.
Football ended up providing Isaiah an education. Plenty of college coaches asked him to bolster their team's rushing attack. But Isaiah wanted to stay and play for his hometown team, the Ohio State.
I was a Buckeye, growing up, and my family, big Buckeye fans. And I was planning on going there, and they told me, at the last minute that they were not going to offer me a scholarship, but wanted me to walk on. So when they told me they didn't want to offer me a scholarship, I kind of was in a quick scuffle of, trying to take that vision and dream out of my mind and, have an open heart towards these other schools. And so Pitt was one, Indiana, West Virginia, Cincinnati. Them were my last four hats that I had drew, but Cincinnati ultimately took the cake just because, there were guys from Columbus there.
Off Pead, running left, finds a little bit of a hole, stays on his feet, inside the 30, down the sideline. Pead, into the end zone.
Pead put the pedal down while he was at Cincinnati.
Wide open, nobody's over there. Down the sideline.
He improved every single season, rushing for almost 1,300 yards his final year as a Bearcat.
And my senior year, our quarterback ended up breaking his ankle in the mid-season. So a lot of that work again went on to me. Kind of double the work. I just owned my role. I spent a lot of time in the weight room and the squat rack, and in the training room, obviously. But I do remember just spending a lot of time in the squat rack and coach telling me that, we were going to need my legs.
Isaiah's legs took him to the NFL. The St. Louis Rams picked him in the second round of the 2011 draft.
The experience of being in the NFL was a dream come true. It was a blessing. It was I'm thankful for it.
It was also a bit bumpy. Pete struggled his first season with the Rams and was suspended one game the following season for violating the NFL's substance abuse policy. Then in 2014, he tore his ACL. He was eventually cut by the team.
There were times where, at being young and, you make mistakes and then you have to earn your keep back. And I was in the middle of doing that, and especially with the Miami Dolphins.
During the 2016 season, the Dolphins released Pete, and the underdog was looking to fight his way back into the NFL. He was supposed to fly to Kansas City to work out with the Chiefs, but Isaiah missed 2 flights. That's when he got to spend extra time with his newborn son.
It was beautiful. I stayed with him. I did the skin to skin and did everything.
Isaiah was in heaven and was hoping to reach his other paradise on the football field soon. It never happened.
It was someone's birthday, and so we are going to Waffle House afterwards. And on the way to the Waffle House, I hit a bump in the road. I've never seen it, but just hearing, from different stories from the different police and whatnot, and my tire blew. We started to swerve, and so I went out the side of a guardrail, which was kind of elevated over some trees and woods and whatnot. And the guardrail came through the car and kind of trapped my legs, but also propelled the car through the air. And one of my legs was severed right there in the car. I woke up in the in the hospital, and they're trying to explain to me what happened because I still had no clue. It's starting to come to me like, your leg is gone. I'm like, how? You know what I mean? I'm a faithful man, so now I pray. I said a prayer and just asked God to, put whatever I need to know in my path for whatever, the story is, in so many words. And said my goodbyes to football.
Did God give you comfort at that time too, even though you knew there was going to be a tough road ahead? Was there comfort there right after you said that prayer?
There was. After I said my prayer, amen, I written a joke down on a piece of paper. Told the room, don't think I can't drive. And everybody kind of laughed or whatnot, because it was my first accident. But the comfort was in, the people he sent to me every day. And, the nurses, the letters and things like that. I was in the hospital for about 2 weeks and then in a rehabilitation for another 2 weeks. I didn't have a rock bottom moment in the hospital. There was no downtime for me in the hospital. People, from all over my life, all times of my life will come in and, the first thing they want to say is, I'm sorry, and I'm sorry this happened. I hope you're okay. And I'm happy to see them. I haven't seen them in years.
Isaiah now cruises around on an artificial leg, but that cruising has some complications.
It's obviously different. It hurts. It has its sores. You can't move as swift. If it's raining outside, this is about as fast as I can walk. I can't really hurry to the car.
Pead keeps plugging along. He's into real estate investment, hopes to become an ambassador for the NFL. And he teaches the younger generation how to play the game.
Now I coach football, coach Little League football. I have a son and nephew who are a year apart. They're 6 and 7 right now, so they'll be 7 and 8. He loves watching my highlights. They both do. They both love watching my highlights. My son, he likes to score touchdowns and do celebrations, and shake people up. But he also likes defense because his big cousin, is super sweet at defense.
He doesn't play favorites as a coach.
I was that kid who played for a little league team where a lot of the dads and uncles were the coaches of my pound, of my team. Me being, just as fast as some of the kids and shifty, and I wanted to play running back, but they wouldn't let me or didn't even really give me a chance until a few years later. And so that's just something that, I want to hold myself to. I think about that kid who, he may be better than my kid. You know what I mean? He may be a little shiftier than my son. And so because of that, yeah, my son does kind of get the tough love. But I do love on him.
Isaiah also shows love to his 2-year-old daughter. He cooks meals for his 2 children and hops around on one leg to play with them. At times, those children climb into bed with him at night. Being a dad has changed Pead's perspective.
It brought a purpose to life. It made me, realize what was life. Because at one time, it was nothing but football. Whatever I need to do to continue football. What I'm excited to continue to teach as a dad, as a father, along with the sports, but just continue to unlock the different, the life lessons that, having kids bring that I was just oblivious to growing up. And playing football, they say when you play hard, the ball just rolls your way. And that's kind of what I want to do with life. I just want to play hard in life and pass wisdom down. Again, start just continuing to build, a family legacy, I think is what my purpose will be.
The underdog and fighter who fought so hard to play football is now fulfilled.
Life is written, and God has a story for us all, and we're all going to be, special in that story. So I'm content.
Thanks for listening to BYU Radio's Big Stories. It's produced and written by me, Cleon Wall. Music and post-production is by Kevin West. A big thanks to ESPN and WXIX. Make sure you watch BYUtv's Big Stories by logging on to BYUSN.com. Big Stories is a production of BYU Radio.